That's the one thing about our audience. They always want a new guy to break through the glass ceiling.
All you have to do is just be real.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am the jabroni beating, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, talking is done, you're out of your class, no sleep till Brooklyn, The Rock whips your ass. Woo!
I wish you and King would quit talking.
Welcome to Around the Ring. It's your post SummerSlam weekend show. I'm your host, Dave Brown. I hope everyone had a great weekend. And it was one hell of a weekend for wrestling, wasn't it? I mean, SummerSlam, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2, Death Before Dishonor, the Evolve shows, which are the ones I sadly didn't get to see. It was just freaking a lot of fun. And we're going to break down, or we're going to go through at least, SummerSlam, TakeOver, and Death Before Dishonor. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about the Kenny Omega win at the G1 Climax, because I did watch that match. But, you know, it was a lot of fun. I just finished watching SummerSlam a little bit ago, and I got to say I enjoyed all of it, and I enjoyed the entire weekend. I thought these were three great cards, and a lot of fun matches. Some matches were better than others, but overall I thought it was a really great freaking weekend for wrestling. So we'll just start off with the one that happened the most recent, then we'll go back in time. So SummerSlam. SummerSlam 2016 from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Same place we had it last year. And the SummerSlam kickoff opened up with a 12-man, I think it was, tag team match. The Vaudevillains, who have lost some of their cool entrance, which kind of sucked. The Ascension, who just still suck. And Breezango, who was really over in Brooklyn, versus the Hype Bros, the Usos, who got booed like freaking crazy, and American Alpha. This was a pretty decent little match. There were some small Gable chants to the Kurt Angle theme. It just really sucks that American Alpha got buried in this opening match. Same with Breezango. I mean, I am not a Fandango fan, but I love Tyler Breeze going all the way back to his time in NXT. I thought he's always was fantastic. He would put on great matches, and it's a shame that the main roster, or specifically that Vince probably doesn't understand him as a character and as a wrestler, so that blows. But this was a match. I had a hard time paying attention to it, honestly. Because there's a lot of people in this match I just give no shits about. The Ascension, the Hype Bros. I kind of like the Vaudevillains, and I think the Usos are very talented. But the Usos really, really need to turn heel. And I think you saw some of the beginning of this as the match was coming to a close. American Alpha went for Grand Amplitude, and as they were doing it, one of the Usos tagged himself in, hit a splash, and then stole the pin, basically. And you could definitely tell there was dissension amongst the baby faces during the celebration afterwards. We then had the Dudley Boys, who got a good pop there in Brooklyn when they should, versus Neville and Sami Zayn. Neville, since coming back from his ankle injury, just has not seemed the same. He seemed, I don't know if trepidatious is the right word, probably. He just seems kind of unsure of himself on Raw. The poor guy face planted when he came into the ring. And even here during his entrance, he just he's not the Neville of old. And that's understandable. I mean, you do a baseball slide, you practically destroy your ankle, a move you've done, hundreds if not thousands of times. It's going to shake your confidence. But it was kind of sad. And then partner Sami Zayn. Sami got a huge pop, and they, this was a good match. Sami and Neville got the win. They actually worked really, really well together. And I don't know. I mean, I suspect this was, okay, guys, you have nothing going on. Let's get you on the card situation, which sucks considering Sami Zayn was just in the, title contention as part of the build-up for the Universal Championship. I could see them maybe putting these guys as a tag team for a while, since they have nothing else really going on with them, and that would be okay. I could see Neville becoming part of the Cruiserweight division. I don't think they're going to do that with Sami Zayn, despite what some folks have said. But I don't know, they worked really well together, which isn't surprising considering the chemistry these two have. So we'll see. Next up was the first in the Best of 7 series, Sheamus versus Cesaro. There were a couple great commentary botches during this match. At one point, Michael Cole said Cesaro set to take on Cesaro. But then at some point during the match, the idea of a double count out came up, and what would happen. And Byron Saxton goes, well, it would be a best out of 6 then. And the other guys were like, that's impossible. And both announced teams throughout the entire night actually poked fun at this, which I thought was kind of funny. One thing that was really cool, they had 3 announce tables set up out by the ring. And the one on the left had the... when you're looking at it, the one at the left had the SmackDown team of JBL, Mauro Ronaldo, and David Otunga. The one in the middle had the Raw team of Corey Graves, Michael Cole, and Byron Saxton. And then the one on the right had the Spanish announce team. And as the night went on and you went from one team to another, one branded match from another, they would just go from team to team back and forth. I thought that was a nice little setup there. This was a pretty good match between Sheamus and Cesaro. It's not the best match I've ever seen of theirs. Sheamus got the win. They did an okay job talking about their history. What they didn't do is go back to when Sheamus was the U.S. champion and he was still a babyface, and he and Cesaro had a series of matches for the U.S. championship when Cesaro was a heel, and those were really, really good. There's a part of me that was really kind of hoping they would just let Cesaro sweep this thing in 4 straight matches. That's obviously not the case. Maybe he wins the next 4, I don't know. Cesaro needs to win this Best of 7 series. That goes without saying. But I figured Sheamus was getting the win. Cesaro's beaten him twice lately on Raw. But it was a good match. And then next up, the first official match of SummerSlam, we had Big Cass and Enzo Amore against Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. Cass and Enzo were over, just ridiculous big time. They came out. They were the first ones to come out, and the place just went nuts. There's a really big pop for Owens as well. There was a great moment in this match where Owens was on the apron, and he says to Jericho, "Don't let him tag the big one. He hits too hard," and that just made me laugh, really, really hard. Pretty good back and forth match. Owens and Jericho surprisingly won. And they won with a pretty bad-looking version of the Revival's Shatter Machine. So it was a pretty decent little match. It was a fun match. Enzo, the bit before where Enzo and Cass were doing their normal shtick was great, and Enzo and Cass were just on fire. We had then Jon Stewart backstage with the general managers. He was talking shit on Stephanie before she showed up, and then she made him look like his bitch, or her bitch, which is just her MO. The New Day interrupted, asked if they could borrow Jon Stewart. We'd see this later on. Next up was the first title match of the night, the Women's Championship, Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. Sasha got a great pop. There was this really nasty bump that Sasha took at one point, where I don't know what the fuck was supposed to happen, but it was from the top rope, and she fell and hit part of her back on the ropes on the way down, landed on the back of her neck, crumpled up in a heap. It was bad. It was a botch. There were a number of botches in this match, but then there was a moment where Charlotte had Sasha on the top rope, looking like she was going for a razor's edge off of the middle rope, and Sasha turned that into a Hurricane Rana, and that was fantastic. And the place was going just apeshit for Sasha. Surprisingly, Charlotte got the win, reversing a bank statement into a pin. It was really heartbreaking. The crowd was big time deflated after this match. It was sad. There are reports floating around that Sasha may be injured. I know Cage Side Seats had some stories this morning, which I pulled up. I was going to read before I started recording, but then I hit the record button, and I don't want to bother pausing and going and reading them and come back, so I'll read that later. But Sasha may have a back injury, and if that's the case, that's why they took the title off of her. I could see a certain young lady from NXT coming up and challenging Charlotte. Could we get some hugging going on in the future? I hope so. But, this was really good match, despite the shocking win. I think everyone's had money on Sasha retaining. That was kind of the logic going into this. But this was a good match, and I wouldn't expect any less from these two ladies. They are fantastic. There's a little backstage bit with AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows backstage. Gallows and Anderson are in their doctor suits. They've got their jars with eggs in them for Big E's balls. That whole wiener joke thing is kind of silly. I've actually kind of enjoyed it. I hate to admit it. I think Gallows and Anderson are pretty funny. I actually really like those guys. So this was kind of cool. But then the moment they got really cool is Finn Balor showed up. And AJ, Allows, and Anderson get all super happy, and they try to too sweet Balor, who then just looks at them, kind of semi-smiles, and then walks off. Great backstage segment. And that takes us to The Miz and Maurice versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental title. Miz got the win. Honestly, this wasn't much of a match. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. What it needed to be was a real show off for Apollo Crews, and it wasn't. It was just kind of there. Also, I forget which show. I think it might have been Wrestling Soup had said that they would like to see, and I'm pretty sure it was them. If not, I apologize. But I did hear someone say that Miz should win this match, and then Apollo Crews should just snap afterwards and beat the utter piss out of him. That didn't happen. It would have been a better story. Would have given Apollo some more personality, because they are just. How do you have a guy like Apollo Crews, a guy who looks like that with that ability, and just fuck it up? I mean, I don't know. I know he's too smiley. I know some of the problem, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. Next up was one of my favorite matches of the night. AJ Styles versus John Cena. AJ got a big time pop when he came out. The John Cena sucks sing-along was in full effect when John Cena came out. There was deafening AJ Styles "Let's Go Cena" chants. Cena was doing some spot calling again. And there was a moment where Cena hit an AA, first AA in the match, and I thought, oh, fuck you, WWE. Cena's going to win, LOL. And thank God AJ kicked out. It wasn't the first time either he was going to kick out of an AA that night. There was another moment where AJ had Cena up for a torture rack, and there was a part of me, I was like, man, use Burning Hammer. Just drop him on his damn head. That would be awesome. And of course he didn't. He did some other move, and Cena kicked out, but c'est la vie. And then oh man, it was just back and forth. There were some terrible, just fucking pathetic looking STFs on Cena's part. Cena hit AJ at one point with a super STF, an STF, or not STF, super A off the top rope. AJ kicked out. I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat this whole time. And John Cena had this look on his face, like, what the fuck do I have to do to pin this kid? And even Little Nate was great. He was the ref, and he just had this look on his face, like, holy crap, how is this match ever going to end? It was back and forth. At the very end, finally, AJ hit a Styles Clash and then a phenomenal elbow and got the win. I was shocked. I was pumping my arms, bouncing up and down in my chair, looking like a complete tool, but I was so fucking ecstatic when AJ Styles won this match. It was unbelievable. I mean, I'm just so happy he won. AJ left Cena in the ring. Cena sat up after a little bit, just kind of sat there. He took off his armband that says "Never Give Up," kissed it, laid it in the ring, and then left. And got a pretty good little ovation, a standing ovation. But I suspect we're not going to see Cena for a while, which have been the rumors. And I think it's pretty much confirmed with him losing this match that he is going away for a bit. And, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But this was great. At one point, though, I thought, what would be really cool is if AJ pulled a Kenny Omega and did that sequence that Kenny Omega did to win the G1 Climax, which we'll just talk about this real quick. If you hadn't seen it, the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax was last Sunday, so not yesterday, but the week before. And Kenny Omega won his first Gaijin, first non-Japanese wrestler to ever win the tournament, which is a huge deal. He's going to have a shot at the IWGP Heavyweight Championship at Wrestle Kingdom, as long as he doesn't lose between now and then. And toward the end of the match, he just hit the sequence of, he had a Bloody Sunday, followed up by a Styles Clash, which didn't get the pin. Then he did his One-Winged Angel. So I was really hoping that either AJ or Finn Balor would do something like that, and they didn't. But it was pretty cool. So if you have not seen the match, he was going against Goto. It was a really good match, especially the last few minutes are just so fucking fun to watch. I haven't had a chance to watch anything else in the G1. There are some apparently 5-star matches in that thing, so hopefully at some point when I get some time, I'm going to check that out. And you definitely should if you have time. Next up, we had Jon Stewart come down to the ring, and the crowd did not give a shit. He started cutting a promo. He got the what treatment. He actually looked kind of sickly. And then ended up showing that he was wearing a New Day t-shirt. He put the New Day unicorn horn on his head. And that brought out the New Day for the tag team title match. The New Day, which was Kofi and Xavier against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, the Club. And this was a pretty good little back and forth match. Jon Stewart did end up getting involved, and at one point he tried to two-sweet Gallows and Anderson, which just cracked me up. I was laughing. Gallows and Anderson went to post Jon Stewart, basically hit him in the balls with the post, and at that moment, as that's about to happen, Big E made his triumphant return. When Big E hit the ring and started beating up people, the match was thrown out, so the Club actually wins via DQ. But overall, this was fun. When Big E came out, huge pop. And then he opened up the jar that had what looked like pickle juice, that had the egg that was supposed to be his balls in it. And he drank from it and spit it out all over and did some great dancing in the ring. Big E, super pop, New Day, over as fuck. Next up was the world title match. Dolph Ziggler challenging Dean Ambrose for the WWE World title. Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon were out at ringside for the match. Throughout this match, Ambrose was really healing it up. He got the win. It wasn't a bad match, but honestly, I was expecting more. I just kept watching it thinking, okay, when are these guys going to kick it up a few more notches? And I don't know if they were pissed that their match was before the Universal Championship match, or what. But it was a good match. Don't get me wrong. It was a really good 3.5 star, almost 4-star match. Probably 3 3/4. I hated that Ziggler lost. I mean, I figured he would. There's part of me that really hoped he would win. But I don't know what the hell they're going to do with him at this point. But this was a good match. I mean, it's not fantastic. But next we had the the 6-woman tag team match with Naomi, Carmella, and Becky Lynch going against Natalya and Alexa Bliss, and it was supposed to be Eva Marie. And Eva Marie's music hits, and I know I got this from Wrestling Soup. Wrestling Soup had said what they need to do is when her music hits, have her voice announcer guy say, Eva Marie can't be here due to her suspension, which would have been hilarious. So when Eva's music hits, I'm laughing. I am just rolling. And they said that she was basically on vacation due to stress. It was a wasted opportunity. But, you knew they weren't going to do that. Becky Lynch had gotten a really good pop when she came out. So it was announced that Natalya and Alexa's partner was the returning Nikki Bella, who got a really big pop. This, I'm not going to lie, I was doing like 4 different things during this match, so I didn't pay that close attention to it. The thing I will say is Becky Lynch is in a whole other league than the rest of these girls. She is so much better than all of them. She's better, honestly, than all of them combined. And I was going to say, if you're gonna list, like, as far as in-ring ability, and I'm just talking about in-ring ability, Becky Lynch followed by Natalya, and honestly, Nikki Bella would probably be next. She's improved a lot over the years. As far as mic work goes, though, you've got to put Alexa Bliss at the top, if not Nikki Bella. So Nikki Bella and Alexa Bliss are the 2 best on the mic by far in this group. But wrestling ability, Becky Lynch is in a whole other league. But Nikki is not terrible, and I've said this, for a long time, that she has gotten better over the last few years, especially as she's had better people to wrestle against. So it's nice to see that she's not completely awful. Nikki did get the pin on Carmella with a fireman's carry into what almost looked like either a cutter or Big E's big ending. Not a bad move. Definitely, she can't do the rack attack anymore because that's what fucked up her neck. But it was what it was. Nikki made a return. She's on SmackDown, which I think everyone figured she would be. Next up, there was the Universal title match. Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. Mick Foley and Stephanie were at ringside with the new belt, which the belt is basically the same as the World belt, except the leather is red. It's got a red backing. It says Universal Champion on it instead of World Heavyweight Champion. But not a bad looking belt, honestly. And I like the fact that they're kind of keeping all the belts the same, so I'm going to assume that when SmackDown gets a women's championship, it will look the same but with a blue background, and that'd be fine with me. I like that having the major titles all looking the same. Plus the fact that this belt is the same design as the World belt in a way shows that, okay, these are on the same level. These are the same type of titles. These are world titles. A big pop for Seth Rollins, big pop for Finn Balor, huge pop for Finn Balor. He was super fucking over. This match was a lot of fun. One thing I thought was weird is when they actually did the introductions, they introduced Finn Balor as Finn Balor, the Demon King, which was just fucking stupid. He's just call him Finn Balor and be done with it. Again, great match, back and forth. The crowd had a whole bunch of different chants going on that I couldn't make out, but this was a just stellar match. Finn Balor got the win, clean, no club interference. There was, I think Solid Monster had suggested that the club come in, interfere, help Finn get the win, making a double turn, Finn going heel and Seth going face, and then forming the Balor Club. That didn't happen. I suspect we're going to see the Balor Club at some point with Anderson and Gallows, but this was really fun, great fucking match. I loved it. I just like with the AJ John Cena match, when Finn got the win, I was pumping my arms, jumping up and down in my chair, looking like a big fat dork that I am, but tons of fun. Next up, we had Rusev with Lana against Roman Reigns for the U.S. title, or so we thought we were going to have. So I had a couple questions. One, placement of this match. So traditionally in these cards, you'll have a really good fucking match, and then you'll have kind of a stinker before the main event. So this match got what's called the death slot. Now, it never actually became a match. Rusev attacked Reigns when Reigns got in the ring. They brawled, and then basically Roman Reigns just pummeled the hell out of Rusev. It was kind of boring. Roman Reigns got booed out of the fucking building the whole time. Now, people were pissed when the match didn't happen. There was a very, very loud "We Want Slater" chant, referring to Heath Slater, who had on Raw and SmackDown, which I'm not going to talk about those specifically, but this last week's Raw and SmackDown, I will say, overall, between the shows, SmackDown was better. I think it's funny, Raw has a better roster, but SmackDown has been putting on better shows. Raw was pretty bad from what I remember. I actually deleted all my notes. The best thing, though, was that segment with Heath Slater and Brock Lesnar. That shit was hilarious. I mean, that was just phenomenal. Brock Lesnar's talking to Heath Slater. You've got responsibility. You've got kids. I don't give a shit about your kids. Oh, just great stuff. But these "We Want Slater" chants were fantastic. So Reigns beat down Rusev. The refs, bunch of refs make him leave. Rusev is helped up. He's starting to walk to the back. Reigns comes back out, hits him with a spear. That's when you get the announcement the match isn't going to happen. Rusev can't continue. So the question is, was Roman Reigns given the death slot, or was this WWE's way of saying, see, Roman Reigns is still a top guy, we're putting him right before the main event? I don't know. I wouldn't put it past either, because you knew this match was going to kind of die a death. You knew Rusev was going to be the one to get over. At one point, there was when Rusev was given the beatdown, there was a Rusev Machka, which is something he screams, chant, which I actually really thought was kind of cool. And then we had the main event, Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman versus Randy Orton. They did a kind of cool thing. So the announcing team for this match was JBL, Mauro Ronaldo, Corey Graves, and Byron Saxton. And they had a nice chemistry. I mean, I'd much rather JBL get out of there, because he's just... Ugh. Anyway, I liked it. I thought it was a good job. There was lots of suplexes, I think 7 or 8 by the time it was all said and done. At one point, Brock had thrown basically Randy into the crowd right behind the announce desk. He picked up Orton, threw him on through the announce table. The table just crashed, and then that was the SmackDown announce table. Then he started clearing off the Raw announce table, put Orton on there, went to pick him up to... I don't know what the hell he was going to do to him. Randy hit an RKO, and then there was this great sequence. So Randy gets back in the ring. Lesnar's crawling into the ring. Randy hits him with his DDT off the ropes. Just spiked him, nasty looking DDT. Then hit an RKO. Got 2 count. He went to the corner, getting ready for the punt. Runs to give him the punt. Lesnar hits an F5. Also gets 2 count. And then Lesnar just starts wailing on Randy Orton. And at one point, he started doing these elbow shots to his head, which were, if I'm not mistaken, he used in his last UFC fight that he had. And during this, he cut Randy Orton up. Just sliced him open. There was so much blood pouring out and pooling on the mat. And, I mean, he kept beating him, and then the ref would pull him off, and he'd go back and beat him some more. The ref would pull him off some more. At one point, there was a Goldberg chant. You were almost waiting to see who was going to come out and save Randy. Nothing ever happened. The ref called the match. Lesnar won. Shane McMahon came out to check on Randy Orton, and Lesnar kept blocking Shane's access to Randy, and then gave Shane an F5, to which Paul Heyman falls on his knees screaming, "Why did you do that? What did you do?" And that was how the pay-per-view ended. I think overall it was a lot of fun. Of the 3 shows we're talking about from this weekend, and I'll rank the 3 at the end. So all 3 shows I thought were really, really good. And I enjoyed this. I know there's some people that didn't. I had fun watching it. And sure, some of the matches weren't as good as they could have been. And maybe it was just the Finn Balor win and the AJ Styles win were enough. And those 2 matches were enough for me to make it a good show overall. Another thing I will say, there were so many Finn Balor t-shirts in that crowd. It was incredible. I mean, Finn is going to print money for WWE. It's not even funny. So now let's talk about what happened the night before. NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2 Electric Boogaloo. Man, so the show opened up with a great video interview package, talking to all the different participants in the event. And then the first match was No Way Jose, who came out and even had like a conga line going. And he was over like Rover, man. He got a huge pop versus Austin Aries, who also got a really good pop. Though Aries needs to get rid of that fucking cape, just like Neville needs to get rid of that cape. I don't know why Vince thinks putting people in capes is a good idea. It's not. It's fucking terrible. So yeah, this was a fun match. Both of these guys were super over. Aries got the win with the last chancery, kind of out of nowhere. But great fucking match. Aries then attacked Jose after the match, which then brought out Hideo Itami and Austin Aries brawl, and then Itami hits a GTS, which sent Barclays just through the roof. It was so fucking great. This was awesome. Just fucking great. Next up was Billie Kay against the debuting Ember Moon. So what's sad about this match to me is, 1, that you knew Billie Kay was going to lose. 2, that she got no reaction. There's this group of ladies who've been in NXT for a while. Billie Kay, Peyton Royce are the 2 kind of main ones in this group. They're from Australia, New Zealand area. And they have a long indie history, and they're really, really good. And I see, especially those 2, they are going to be 2 of the women leading that division for a long time to come. So it sucks when they're now just starting to build them up and they're not getting a reaction. Then again, Sasha and Bayley and Charlotte didn't get much reactions when they were first starting out, so we'll see. Ember Moon got a nice little pop. There was something that in that match that made me go, what the hell was that? Ember won with a stunner off the top rope thing. So Billie Kay's on the mat. Ember Moon, and she's kind of standing. Ember Moon goes to the top rope, jumps off, and hits a stunner. Somehow. I can't explain it. But it was a cool fucking move. And got the win. This was a really good match. I hated that Billie Kay had to lose. Hopefully they're going to keep building her up, because I think she's going to be talent for the future. Up next we had Bobby Roode against Andrade Cien Almas. This place went ballistic for Bobby Roode and for Bobby Roode's theme, and it was so great. His theme starts, the place is singing along, and this platform was raised in the air, and you just see Bobby Roode standing there with his arms out, looking to the sky. It was such a great entrance. When Almas came out, he was basically booed and then essentially ignored. There were "This is Glorious" chants. This was the first time Almas really, though, showed any signs of life and talent in a match. La Sombra was a champion all over the world, in Japan, in Mexico, was known to be this fantastic talent. And since he's come to WWE and been in NXT as Andrade Almas, he's just been fucking boring. I mean, just boring. But in this match, he finally showed personality, showed signs of life. It was a good first outing for him. The commentary team on this show, Corey Graves and Tom Phillips, are just really good together. Corey Graves is on point. He's just gotten so good over the last few years, and he works really well with Tom Phillips. So the commentary throughout the show was fantastic. Rude got the win. It was a really good match, but the ending was a bit anticlimactic. He used it's like a fisherman type slam, not a fisherman slam. I forget what it's called. Becky Lynch has used a version of it. So it's not the best finishing move. I know he's not going to use the Brood Bomb, which is basically the AA, but we got to get Bobby Roode something better. But yeah. But the place loved Bobby Roode. That was great. There was some weird vignette that looked like a bunch of film of anarchy, and then had the word sanity on the screen. No one knew what the hell that was about. There was a Cruiserweight Classic trophy vignette. That was pretty cool, and that worked into the tag team title match, which was next. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano against the Revival. Tommaso and Johnny had some new t-shirts. Hashtag DIY. I guess they're going with that as their name. Do it yourself. Cool looking shirts. Great pop for Gargano and Ciampa. There were Let's Go Ciampa chants. There were big Johnny Wrestling chants. And the Revival are so good at old school tag team shenanigans. The Revival won with a submission, of all things. This match was great. It started out slow, but it had a hell of an ending. This was just so much fun. Gargano and Ciampa, when they left the ring, they got a standing ovation. Just place went nuts for him, and I was waiting for Gargano, or for Ciampa to turn on Gargano, because Gargano is the one who submitted and who lost the match for them. But this was excellent, and I do see a future tag team championship future for these guys. I see big things with both of these guys. Tommaso Ciampa did nothing for me in ROH, but he has been fantastic in NXT, and he and Johnny Gargano, I just see money with these guys. They're awesome. The crowd in Brooklyn fucking loved them. This match was great. Next up was the women's championship match. We had Bayley going against Asuka. What was great, Izzy, Bayley's biggest fan, was in the freaking front row. I thought that was awesome. There were tons of hugger section signs. At one point, there was an Asuka's gonna kill you chant. There were dueling Let's Go Bayley, Let's Go Asuka chants. Both of these women were over like Rover. It was crazy. Asuka got the win. Great, just unbelievably good fucking match. Just so much fun. At the end, Asuka and Bayley hug. Bayley raises Asuka's hand. Asuka leaves Bayley in the ring. There were big thank you Bayley chants, and this was her send-off. It wasn't as long as Sami Zayn's, but it was still, I had tears in my eyes. I love Bayley. Man, this woman is incredible. She can bring such emotion out of you watching a match, and they're printing money with her. They are going to print money with this woman. So Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte had all been at ringside for the match. And Bayley, as she was leaving, she hugged all three of them. She stopped and she hugged Izzy. And I was crying. I was just openly crying. It was just fantastic. And then we had the main event. Shinsuke Nakamura challenging Samoa Joe for the NXT Championship. And holy shit, Nakamura is over. My God, he was over. And during his entrance, it was great. They had a violin player come out and play the violin parts of his theme. And this was a big-time back-and-forth match. Nakamura got the win. He's the new NXT champion, Shinsuke Nakamura. Great match. Another one. I mean, just great fucking match. This was incredible. Top to bottom, this card was awesome. And, yeah, it was. I loved it. I was thoroughly entertained through the entire thing. I tell you what, this SummerSlam weekend this is becoming just a weekend of wrestling joy, because last weekend I had a great time the whole weekend watching all of the different shows. Same thing this weekend. And we got one more to talk about. Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor match, or pay-per-view. This was on Friday night. The show opened up with a four-corner survival match for the TV for a number one contender for the TV title. It was Kamatachi, I totally pronounced that wrong, versus Jay White versus Donovan Dijak versus Leo Rush. Dijak got the win. This was super fun. Lots of great spots. Jay White was super over. Leo Rush is this tiny little dude, but man, he can fly around. He was just a lot of fun. Whole thing was a really good match. We then had Silas Young taking on Shibata from New Japan, whose first name I cannot pronounce. This was a good match, but Silas Young kind of was bitched out in this match, which is my only complaint. At the end, Silas got up in... at the end, afterwards, after Shibata wins, they slapped each other and then they shook hands. It was but it was a good match. It was a lot of fun. Then there was a match, members of Bullet Club versus members of Chaos. I did not watch this match because it was all the jamokes in both teams. Chaos got the win. Fucking who cares? We then had Adam Hangman Page against Jay Briscoe in a no disqualification match and grudge match. And this was out fucking standing. So good. Adam Page got the win. They had a couple of matches about a year ago on TV that were just fantastic. They've had this really good feud. It's been real hard for me to keep up with Ring of Honor television as of late, which is the thing with Ring of Honor is their TV doesn't always match up with what's going on in their house shows, and then catching up to what's going on with pay-per-view, it's kind of a mess with the way they record stuff. But this was a long-standing feud, and this was a great fucking match. We then had Dalton Castle against Kushida. I cannot pronounce his first name either. Damn Japanese guys. Your names are so hard to pronounce for me, as a stupid, guy from Oklahoma. But it was Dalton Castle against Okada. Castle's entrance was just on point. This match was fantastic. Back and forth. Dalton Castle has one of the best German suplexes in all of wrestling. I think he will be a future mayor of Suplex City. Okada got the win, which wasn't surprising. You're not going to have your IWGP heavyweight champion lose to Dalton Castle. But it was a really good match. The boys, Dalton Castle's boys, were just, they love Okada. You need to go watch this. It was a whole lot of fun. But great match. Lots of fun. Okada got the win, but it was great back and forth. We then had Mark Briscoe against Bobby Fish for the TV title. Bobby Fish got the win. This was also a really, really good match. There was... I'm trying to remember my notes when I just kind of watched the show. I didn't take a whole lot of specific notes. I was watching it and just kind of enjoying it. So I don't remember any specific spots from this, but I do remember it was a great match. It was a lot of fun. We then had the tag team championship triple threat match of Naito and Evil against Michael Elgin and Tanahashi against The Addiction. This was kind of a mess, honestly. The Addiction won it was real hard to follow, and it was just kind of blah. And then we had the main event. Adam Cole challenging Jay Lethal for the Ring of Honor World Championship. So Jay Lethal was over big time. Adam Cole super fucking over. Adam Cole got the win. There was no outside interference. Fantastic match. Probably my favorite match of the whole weekend. It was just awesome. So good. And afterwards, Kyle O'Reilly attacked Adam Cole. So I'm sure we're setting up Kyle O'Reilly challenging Cole for the Ring of Honor Championship. There was Ring of Honor posted a kind of recap video on their YouTube channel. And during that, you see Jay Lethal in the ring. They record it right after the pay-per-view ends. And the crowd is chanting, "Thank you, Lethal." He got a huge ovation. He had been the Ring of Honor World Champion for 420 days. Hell of a champion. He was fantastic. I'm sure the rematch that Cole and Lethal are going to have is going to be outstanding. But this match was great. If I was going to say my favorite matches of the weekend, I would probably say, and this is in no particular order, but the Adam Cole Jay Lethal match, the Nakamura Samoa Joe Bailey Asuka, the Ciampa Gargano and Revival tag team match, and then the AJ Cena match and Balor Rollins match. Those were my favorites. But if we're going to rank the three events, and here's the deal. These were three outstanding pay-per-views. Sure, TakeOver's not technically a pay-per-view, but it's a pay-per-view level show. As a wrestling fan, especially a big-time, like, diehard wrestling fan, there are no real major complaints about this. Sure, there's some results that made you go, what the fuck? But overall, I don't think there's much to complain about, and it was three fun as hell shows. I spent, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I spent probably 10 hours this weekend since Friday, at least 10 hours watching wrestling, and I had a great time the entire time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And what else can you ask for? Really, at the end of the day, as a wrestling fan, you watch these shows and you have fun. What else can you really ask for? Not a whole lot. So this was great. But if I'm going to rank the shows, my best to worst, and that's with the caveat of saying all three of these shows were really, really good. I would say NXT TakeOver Brooklyn was the best of the weekend, followed by Death Before Dishonor, and then SummerSlam. Again, all three really stinking good. I'm really looking forward to Raw and SmackDown of this week to see the fallout, and we're going to start to build toward brand separate pay-per-views going forward in WWE. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in Ring of Honor in the fallout from Death Before Dishonor. I'm really looking forward to seeing Adam Cole as champion because I'm a huge Adam Cole fan. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in NXT. We got Nakamura as the champion. We've got Asuka, who has just solidified herself as extremely dominant. You've got the Revival, who are probably the best tag team in the world, period, right now. So it's good times for as much complaining as we wrestling fans love to do, especially about WWE and Monday Night Raw. It's a pretty damn good time to be a wrestling fan. You've got the Cruiserweight Classic going on in the WWE Network, which has been outstanding. I did not get a chance to watch this last week's episode, but I will get caught up. You've got Ring of Honor TV, which every week when I get a chance to watch it is always good. NXT every week is quite good. SmackDown's been really, really good. Raw's been meh. And then we've got coming up next month the return of Lucha Underground Season 3, which I'm bad. I was unable to keep up with Lucha Underground Season 2. At some point I'm going to watch it, I know. But as wrestling fans, honestly, It's pretty fucking awesome. And on top of that, if you were able to, Evolve had 2 shows this weekend with the debut of Cody Rhodes on the Indies. I haven't had a chance to see them. I'm going to search them out. I want to see what those are like. And Evolve's one of those promotions I really want to get to know more about. Just same with PWG, but I don't live in Southern California and I don't have the money to go see those shows or buy the DVDs, unfortunately. But that is what it is. So again, if you're a wrestling fan, it's a great time to be alive. There's talent like we've never seen before getting in the ring, and I had a great time this weekend watching all this stuff. This was fucking great. So that's going to do it for Around the Ring for this week. Don't forget, hit us up on social medias, Twitters, all that good junk. The handle pretty much everywhere is Around the Ring OK. And we will be back next week, either Sunday or Monday. I don't know which. Talking about, well, basically whatever the hell happens this next week. So until then, everyone, have a great week. Stay safe out there. And as Jerry Springer always said, take care of yourselves and each other.
You've been listening to Around the Ring on the Spark Radio Network.
All you have to do is change your point of view. And believe.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. Damn! Woo!
This sucks more than anything that I've ever fucked before.
What? It's for charity.